Let's go.
Welcome to the Trusted Leader Show. I'm your host, David Horsager. Join me as I sit down with influential leaders from around the world to discuss why leaders and organizations fail, top tactics for high performance, and how you can become an even more trusted leader. Welcome to the Trusted Leader Show. It's David Horsager, and I have a very special guest, a friend. She is a Hall of Fame speaker. She's an entrepreneur. She's an author of a couple books, and she's an amazing lady. We're going to talk about some of her expertise. And before we do that, Christine Cashen, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi, David. Great to see you.
Hey, tell us a little bit about maybe something we don't know about you. I know you got two really cool kids, amazing husband, living down in Texas, but what's something about Christine before we get into the work?
Oh, wow. Some people might not know that I grew up in a town without a stoplight in Michigan.
Wow. That's interesting. That's close. That's actually, I guess that's the same as I grew up. You know? Of course, I grew up 8 miles from there on a 1,500 acre bean farm or 1,200 acre bean farm. But I guess that's true. No stoplight in Burndale, Minnesota, 500 people. How many people what was your hometown?
It's called Pinckney, Michigan. It's near Ann Arbor. And even though it was a small town, it was a bigger community. So like our high school was pretty average size because it was all these little towns together. In fact, the joke is the town next to us was called Hell. And when I worked in radio, and people would always call to see when hell froze over. It was like a big deal. So.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Well, Christine, you're speaking all over the world. I know your clients list, Walmart and United and General Mills and AT&T and all these other places. And we've gotten the incredible privilege. I've had the incredible privilege to be on the same stage with you at some events around the world. But let's dive in here. You have this expertise around really energy and positivity and working with people and building teams. And so let's start actually and then move from there quickly because of we don't keep going back to the pandemic, but we've got people right now that are still overwhelmed, frozen, challenged. Some are having to come back live to work, some are virtual, some are alone. Do we have some tips for people as we move out of this kind of collective just time?
Right. That's a good question. And I think I have the answer. I am on a mission, and I hope you and your listeners will join me as we stop global whining.
Let's do it.
Things aren't going to go back to the way they were BC, before COVID. We just need to embrace it and look forward. I'm tired of looking back. I am looking both eyes are forward. And you know what? There's a lot of things you can't change, but there's a lot of things you can. So stop focusing on the things you have no control over. My mom called me yesterday. She said, "Oh my gosh, did you see the monkeypox?" I'm like, oh, for the love of all that's holy. I can't control that. I'm going to still wash my hands, do my best, and live my life, right? I can't worry about all the things I have no control over. I can just control me, right? So I think that's the first step, is looking at ways that you can have power to change your situation.
So focus on what you can control. Now, someone's listening right now. They're critical. They're like, well, yeah, but if I don't complain or want the squeaky wheel gets the da-da-da that I need, I'm not going to get the attention I need or the thing that I need unless I am that person. What say you?
Yeah, I thought people were going to come out of this last 2 years kinder and gentler. No, people are ready to fight. I think they've been under control for so long that they now want to overexert their control over everything. But again, there's so many things you do have power over. So I know I've been complaining about the pandemic. I gained a little bit of weight over this baking bread time. But it's like, yeah, you can vent once, but what are you going to do about it? When are you going to make your health a priority? I have control over that. I have control over it. Stop drinking as much wine, drink more water, all that kind of stuff. They're just our choices that we make every single day. And so for people to complain about things, well, unless you have total control, you're wasting your energy. Put it towards something you can. If you're miserable where you are, find another place to be.
So I think one of our challenges is people are tired. And it's very hard to move or do something different when you're tired, because you're like, well, I want to start this new habit. I want to change this thing. I want to get rid of these pounds, but I'm just totally worn out. Somebody could say emotionally, physically. You have something, I think you even say, I quote you here, how to stay inspired when you're tired. How do we do that with ourselves? How do I get inspired when I'm tired?
Okay, I have the best tip. I hope everyone's listening. When you go to bed at night, go to sleep. You got to go to sleep. So too many people take their phones, they start the scrolling, right? Because that's their way to calm down. And you know you have a problem if you've ever dropped your phone on your face. If any of you out there, if you've dropped a phone on your face, you have a problem, okay? And don't be smug because you lay on your side and the screen bounces back and forth. You got to get that phone out of your bedroom, because too many of us spend an hour or so scrolling. Your partner is too. You wake up, the first thing you do is you grab your phone, you start looking at your emails. You're behind before you even get out of bed. With one eye open, you're feeling the stress hormones. And it's like if people would just wean from the screen, the last half hour of your day, the first half an hour of your day, start with 10 minutes maybe. No phone, no screen, a television included, at night and in the morning. In fact, I developed these they're called cell phone sleeping bags. And people, when we're out to dinner, when we're out with people, I bring a bunch of sleeping bags. We put our phones to rest because they work really hard. They need a nap.
By the way, you can get those sleeping bags at ChristineCashen.com, and we'll put all this in the show notes. I know that. Any other tips? By the way, this is a massive problem for everybody. Any other tips or ways to build this habit, in essence, to wean from the screen? We know there's a place that's screened. We need it. We can use it. We get our Delta tickets on it. We get our, whatever. But how what else can I actually do? It's because it's one thing to say it and then like, oh, but this time, let me just, what do I do?
It's so tempting, right? So you've got to set some boundaries. Like our family is like no phones at the table, period, the end. Because at one point we're all eating and I look and everyone's heads down. I thought, are they saying a prayer? No, the phone is underneath the table and they're sending texts to their friends or whatever. And it's like, no. So that's a rule. Whenever I go out to people, when we go out to dinner, everybody needs to put it away. In fact, a friend of mine has a cell phone. She calls it a tech tower. Everybody puts their phones in a pile. Have you seen this?
No.
First person to check pays the check.
Oh, there you go. That's a
one.
Motivator. Right? I like it.
Yeah.
What else? I'm going to keep going with this a little bit. Yeah, you can jump anywhere you want because I think it's very interesting. For those of us that have teenagers or kids, younger, whatever, this is, I told my parents, my dad is going to be 93 this year. Okay. So, and I'm actually proud of how they've kept up with technology, but not too much, like they're in the world, they're learning, continue learning. But I told him, they were down this weekend and I just said, I'm a good parent without phones. Like I could have been a really good parent 40 years ago, 30 years ago. It's like this phone thing. And we were like we were the last ones to give our kids phones in the class. We were all these things. And still it's challenging. Any tip for parents, as much as we have leaders of companies and everything else on this, a lot of them have kids. What do we do?
Yes. There's one rule, and that's no one brings their phone into their bedroom at night. I think it's giving your kid a loaded gun to give them their phone at night where they can scroll, post pictures, do whatever. And you need to do a check. So when I get those phones at night, everybody, charges in the kitchen. And I'll every once in a while go through and I start looking. I start looking at well, that's an invasion of your privacy. Are you kidding me? You have to do it. You have to look. What invasion of your privacy? To see if someone's getting bullied, what kind of pictures are being sent, what they're looking at. And for me, it wasn't what my kids were sending. It was what they were receiving.
Mm-hmm. I'm on the same page. They put their phones actually in our room every night. So it's the right at the door. There's a place to plug in and whatever. Yep, exactly. And in our case, and people might think too strong, but they sign a contract with us because if they break their phone and everything, they can make the money to buy it and whatever. But we own their phone. We own the phone until they're 18. So this is our ownership. We own it. So that means we can own everything about it. you know. So anyway, it's part of what we're trying.
Exactly the same. And I bought this thing. We haven't used it much lately, but it's called the Circle. It's by Disney, and everyone's phones got connected to it. And then they had a certain amount of time online. You're shaking your head like you know what this is.
Yep,
and,
we absolutely.
The internet turns off for them when they've reached their time limit. And then if they wanted more time, they had to do some chores to get more time. But I don't think people realize how much time is spent. And this was a great indicator. I put myself on it too, because if you're on the tickety talk, time just goes by and you wake up, you're like 2 hours later, what happened to my life? What are you doing?
Yes. Yep. People don't know. That absolutely. Screen time measures it. We use Echo in our home. We have a wall on or whatever they call it. But anyway, I think this is really interesting. You know, I want to jump to something else that's very relevant today. And we're going to get into it here. We talk a lot about getting along. Like you talk a lot about helping people that are opposing get along. I mean, we've got a polar world, as you know. All of our work is around building trust. Let's jump in. How do we get Democrats and Republicans to get along?
Oh, if we could solve that problem, David, we would be king and queen of the universe, right?
How do we let's just take it easier. Somebody on our team, it's like, I don't agree. This is a pain. How are we going to, because we know teams get things done. We need to be able to get along in some way. Doesn't mean we always have to agree. What can we do?
I think it's trying to find that common ground. And I wish the politicians out there could do that, but it's finding those things that you can agree on first, maybe. And a lot of it is the language that we use, right? I call them wise words. So for instance, instead of saying the word unfortunately, I like to use the word as it turns out. Right? So someone says, we need you for a speech. I'm like, unfortunately, I'm busy. No, unfortunately, I'd say, as it turns out, I have. You know, when I'm asking my family to do things, I don't say you haven't, you never feed the dog. I say you have yet to. If you have someone who owes you a report, like I haven't seen that report, you need to go, I have yet to see the report. Leaving them open to doing it. Instead of saying I disagree with you, using the words, I see things differently. I feel like we're not using the right words and it's inflaming people on not on purpose, it's just happening. And then if you get an email from someone that makes you want to lick your fingers and tap out your response, that's not the thing to do. You got to pick up the phone face to face. So much miscommunication occurs through email, through text. It's just, I could make anyone's email sound like they're being mean by the tone of my voice. Look at what he wrote. Good morning. Happy to work with you on this. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So if you especially when it's a sensitive or hot topic, like always pick up the phone. Don't hide behind the keyboard.
Most training and development initiatives don't last or even solve the root problem hindering an organization. That's where TrustEdge certification comes in. TrustEdge certified partners are equipped with a suite of tools to identify, benchmark, and close gaps in trust for good. Because when you solve the real issue, you get measurable results and a culture where people actually want to make an impact. So whether you're a trainer, a manager, an HR executive, or a leader in learning and development, check out trustedgeplatform.com and see how you can start solving the root issue and get lasting results in your organization. And now back to the show.
What about, you had some other tips I've heard, and I think brilliant. By the way, I love what you just said about words. All these using the right words, it can
words matter.
Yes, it can de-escalate. It can open up. It's so motivating. You and I both know Phil Jones. He was on the podcast not too long ago, and had us thinking a lot differently about words. But as far as, a lot of what you're talking about, it's so fun to see you on the platform, and you bring this fun and you bring this energy and you bring this customization and connection. And you've been on the stage with presidents of countries, including ours and others. But what about this? How can we bring, some of the things I've heard you talk about is less stress and more productivity. How can we be more productive? Because turns out we still need to get things done. There's a lot of focus, and for good reason, on mental health and taking this day and take that. But I run a company, and I actually still need people to work. I actually still need people to get things done. So how do we motivate this kind of less stress environment, but we still need to be productive? What do we do?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think the answer is in each person, finding out where their strengths are. When's your biggest productivity time? Is it in the morning? Is it the afternoon? Some people don't get going until like 11 o'clock. For other people, they're like, oh, it's lunch and home. They're mentally gone because they've been up working, first thing straight away. So know when your high productive, high energy time is and capitalize on that. Do the things you don't want to do first. A lot of times you get that out of the way. You've been putting it off for 3 days. Well, finally you did it and it was much easier than anticipated. And then if you can, do your tasks in blocks of time. So, I will try to power through my email, then I turn it off and go to something else, a project that I needed to do or whatever. But the problem is we're always distracted, right? Someone's phone is doing all the
distractions?
time.
Yeah.
Because
how do we get rid of the? Yeah.
Turn off your notifications. Turn off your notifications so you can actually focus. I take everything off my desk that I'm not working on because I find myself going, ooh, I don't know if anyone like me has that, attention span issue where you're like, squirrel over here. And I start 10 things and never finish anything. So really just getting your groove on. And if you need help, please ask for it. And the thing is today, everyone's really mad because they can't get what they want when they want it. Well, due to whether it's supply chain or lack of employees. Being honest about what's going on, what the holdup is, communication is the key. I think people would be a lot less angry if they knew what was going on rather than just making them wait and wonder if they've been ghosted.
Absolutely. What about you? You've got this business you started 26, 27, 8 years ago. You've been speaking, you've been you've come through we've come through some challenging different times in business for you. You used to do a lot of live events. What have you learned as far as pivoting? I talk about this, there's people that like consultants that want to know, like, be absolute. Well, it's always this or it's always that, it's always this way or it's always that. It's always, be patient, but the early bird gets the worm. Well, what should I be this time? Or it's always, you got to know when to pivot. You got to know when to pivot. But, well, this one won just because they persevered through it. So should I persevere? Should I pivot? How did you manage in this time of knowing when to pivot, knowing when to persevere, what did you learn?
I just learned I am actually really good at this because I'm super flexible. It's like when I started to do virtual, everybody was buying all the equipment and all the stuff. And I was making hand-drawn signs that I was holding up in front of the camera and throwing them over my head because I didn't want to mess with the technology part. I just wanted to have fun. So I just realized that I didn't have to follow the rules that everyone else had set forth. Like you have to have this special thing for your screen to flip and all that stuff. I just wanted to bring who I was. And I feel like through all of this, I just realized we all have the same issues. We all struggle, and the more I can be authentically myself and relatable to the audience. And I think that's always been my secret sauce is that people see themselves in me rather than, oh, she's so much better. She's got it all together. I'm not a hot mess. I'm a spicy disaster. I've learned to embrace that.
What are you learning today? What are you curious about today? You keep learning and growing. What are you learning these days?
Oh, that is a really good question. I am learning. I really want to start doing a little micro-habiting. So in other words, it's like, I should go work out, but you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to drink more water. Like, I'm just going to start small. When I get overwhelmed by big goals, I do nothing, but it's all the little baby steps that make me feel like I'm being productive. So I've been trying to focus more on the little goals and having some quiet time for my brain because I don't think a lot of us have, and probably your listeners are the same. We don't leave room for any quiet.
When does margin work for you? When do you have margin or quiet?
When I feel like I'll notice my shoulders are up around my ears, especially these last couple of weeks, because with everything going on in the month of mental health awareness, mental wellness, I think I said it correctly the first time, because that's kind of what it is. Oh, that's funny. The moment I feel like all of a sudden I'm not breathing. Yesterday, I stepped outside. I put my feet in the grass and I did some grounding. I'm just like, deep breaths, feel the earth under my feet, just get grounded for just 5 minutes. 3 minutes, just looked around, took it all in. And when I came back in, I just felt like I had gone on vacation. I felt so much better. I know people meditate. I have trouble with that. I know I'd like to learn more about it. My brain sits there and starts worrying even faster. Did I take the sheets out of the dryer? All that kind of stuff. But when I take a minute, even if it's a quick break outside, breathe. I put my bare feet into the grass. I know that sounds like very, I don't know.
Sounds very Minnesotan in January.
But except in Minnesota in January. No, don't do it. You still could put on your boots, get outside and breathe the cold, musty air. Yeah.
That's funny. When we had I remember our first kiddo of the 4, she would, was crying. And we learned something. All you have to do is go outside. Just open the door and go outside. And they get a different perspective. They get the wind in their face. It just changed. You talk about even in a 6-month-old, right? They just, okay. And sometimes we act like 6-month-olds or need a little wisdom there probably too. So,
well, I have another good tip, David.
Please give us a couple more tips, and then this is so good.
When you're feeling kind of down and out of it, I find that there is a huge gift in the lift. And what I recommend is called the 10-coin challenge. And what it is you wake up and you put 10 coins in your pocket. Make them the smallest coin you have. I know you have people listening all over the world. So something smaller. Maybe it's a small bead, something as a reminder, 10 of them. Then you look for things that are going right, someone you can appreciate, someone you can compliment. And when you do that, you get to move a coin or a bead from one pocket to the other pocket. What this does is most of us put on our gotcha goggles. Who's screwing up? As a leader, who's not doing what they're supposed to be doing? And yes, you need that. But this helps you also put on grateful goggles. Who can you appreciate and why can you appreciate them? And some days you really have to look hard, but it's there. You will lift others. You will feel lifted. And you want all 10 coins to be one pocket to the other by the end of the day. And start with your family.
Great idea.
Start with your family. And this is like a physical reminder of, all right, I'm dishing out the criticism. Let me also be a good supporter and person as well.
Dish out the gratitude.
Yes,
that's a huge habit. Hey, any other habits you have? We at least when I've seen leaders that I trust and follow, I see leaders that are doing something to lead themselves well. What are you influence all these people on the platform, all these huge companies and everything else. What are you doing to lead yourself? Whether it's physical, mental input, emotional, your family. What other habits do you have?
I try to be a really good connector. I think it's really important to check in with people on a personal level as opposed to just the professional level. So, I try every week to reach out to some people that I don't see or talk to all the time and just say, I'm thinking of you. No need to write back. I just want to let you know I'm here. I think a lot of people are dealing with a lot of things right now. And I that's most important to me, that I'm a good friend and a good human being, not only for my friends, but for my community. Like I'm the one that has the neighborhood get together at the end of school. I just love bringing people together.
And you had a beautiful get together that I had the opportunity to be at in your beautiful home.
I just love bringing people together.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
That's one of my favorite things to do is to really reach out. And who has time? We don't have time, but a little note card, a little note in the mail. I'll see an article. I'll forward it to someone, a past client. I thought you might appreciate this. And I also try to maintain my sense of humor. I just think it's not a lot to laugh about these days, but I find those things and just, I have a banana Bluetooth phone. I've got I have all these toys and things that I just love making people laugh. And I think many leaders think that if they're not serious all the time, they're not taken seriously. But I feel like it's the person that can evoke the laughter, that can lighten up themselves, other people. That is an effective leader because everyone knows we're the same underneath. We really are.
They're real. Give us a tip. How can let's just say we've got some people that are just like, but how could I bring laughter? I'm not funny. I'm not this. And I want to be more approachable as a leader. I want to be more understood. Like what could I do?
Okay. Well, I think that, a lot of us get irritated by people. We all have rules for people that people don't always follow. So start out with this. It's called make up a story about people's past. Now, you don't tell them the story. It's just for you. So let's say you're even driving to work. You're getting irritated because nobody knows how to drive. Normally, you'd get angry when someone pulled in front of you. Now you just think, that person, it's their first time driving. They're a permit driver. They didn't use their turn signal because they have a broken arm. Like I just make up stories for people. This way I'm giving them a break. And sometimes they're very funny. Like my daughter, one time this guy was bobbing and weaving through traffic. And I said to my daughter at the time, very young in the back seat, I said, look at that crazy driver. She said, he must have to go potty.
She's got it.
Yeah, you never know. So I just started having fun just with people. I call it the reverse wishing well. Like I wish them well. I don't use the wishes for me. I wish them well. Good luck getting where you're going. You're walking so slow. You must have had a hip replacement recently. And I just find it makes me giggle, makes me lighter, because when I'm stressed out and angry inside, I find that manifests itself being critical and angry with other people. But when I'm lighter and having more fun just by myself, it just tends to come out and people feel it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Anybody that's ever been around you feels it. It's
you know, David, you can catch mood poisoning very easily.
Yeah. No
mood
doubt about it.
Mood poisoning is a thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, with that, I've got a final question for you. But before I do, where can people find out more about you? We've got it in the show notes. We've got it in the, and we'll put it there. But some people might be interested in a couple of your books are The Good Stuff by Christine Cashen and It's Your Business by Christine Cashen. You can even find the cell phone sleeping bags. But where is the number 1 or 1 and 2 spot to go? Yeah,
the number 1 and only spot, ChristineCashen.com. Check the notes. Yeah.
ChristineCashen.com. We've got it spelled correctly below if you don't know Christine yet, and we'll look there. So it's the Trusted Leader Show. First, I just have to say thanks for being a friend that I trust, and it's just a treat to be together, have you on the show. But it's a Trusted Leader Show. Who is a leader you trust and why?
I really look up to Brené Brown. As a trusted leader and speaker, she just speaks the truth. She talks about vulnerability. I don't know if any of your listeners are familiar with her. They should be. She's like the next Oprah kind of. And I feel like she's not trying to put on an act. I feel like she's the real deal. And people can feel authenticity. And I feel that with her.
And she's one of your fellow Texans. So
yes,
there you have it, right? Isn't that true? Don't you both? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a treat. Thank you so much. Lots of nuggets, lots of fun, and lots of good from Christine Cashen. It's been the Trusted Leader Show. Until next time, stay trusted.